All right, it's time for the shot clock here on OTB AM, some friendly competition. It's broadcasting's equivalent of John Cooney versus Conor Murray. It is Gilroy against Kieran Donaghy. We've got 3 topics for debate, then on to Kieran's free throw and then on to this week's picks. If you make a good argument, you will hear this sound. And if you make a bad argument, you will hear this sound. And basically, at my discretion throughout. Kieran Donaghy is on the line, Ger is here in studio, and we are starting with Irish rugby, this idea of ruthlessness versus loyalty. Is there any room for loyalty, Kieran, after the disaster at the Aviva Stadium at the weekend? Twickenham.
I think there is. I think there's room for loyalty. Look, you know, the big talk is whether about Johnny Sexton. He's our captain. You have to go with him. You have to let him play through this bit of a bit of a dip in form. Look, he did have a poor game at Twickenham. Look, he'll know that himself. I think everybody watching will know that. But, you know, I was captain of Kerry in 2015. I was dropped. You know, I felt I shouldn't have been. And I felt, you know, very similar in this line with Johnny. Johnny needs to be given this chance to come good and to lead us back into this French game. Obviously, Italy is a doubt if it's going to be on in 2 weeks. But to be there in this French game, I think it's essential that Johnny Sexton is there, and I wouldn't drop him. Look, there's loyalty. I would say definitely comes into play with the captaincy and the player that's captain. But I would say with the others, I'd say people are up for grabs at this stage.
Why were you dropped?
My form wasn't really good. And you know, probably very similar to the Sexton conundrum that the Irish management are facing now, and I felt after the game that it was, you know, it was the wrong call. But it's a call that had to be made at that given time, and it was hard because, you know, we did have an unbelievable full forward line in James, Paul Ganey, and Gooch, but just you know, I felt I needed to be in there.
Did you have it out with Eoin? Did he tell you in advance? How did that conversation go?
Did I have it out with him? Do you know what? At the time, I took it, you know, the decision's made. You're not going to change the manager's mind if he comes and tells you you're not on the team for the final. But, you know, I just took it that I was going to be in there when the game was in the melting pot, and that I was going to be able to influence it late on, which when I came on, you know, I did bits and pieces, and we nearly found a way back into the game, but it was it was kind of gone, and I feel for, you know, a player like Sexton, who's had a really tough game last week. He was really good against Wales, let's not forget that, but he was poor last week, and I feel like you just need to stick with him, and you need him to lead you through the Italy game and ramp it up for the French game, and he's your guy. Like, you don't know how much of a spiritual leader this guy is in the dressing room. You know, he's incredible by all accounts, and I think dropping him would be a mistake.
Yeah, I 100% agree with this, that you can't drop Sexton for the France game. He had a terrible game, but he needs to be given the opportunity on the basis of all of the recoveries that he's made ever up to this point. He is the best out half we have. He's also the best out half we have by a country mile. None of the rest of the players who are in the squad or who are outside the squad at the moment who are fit are actually close to pushing him out of the team. So not only does he have to stay in because he's your captain and spiritual leader, he has to stay in because he's your best number 10. The issue at number 9 is different. There, the loyalty has to be to the player who's pushing through, where the gap has closed to the point where we need to see what Cooney can do. And I think this actually has an impact on 10 as well. There's no way you can go with Cooney and Ross Byrne to start for their first Big Six Nations game together for the first time in Paris. That would be absolute madness. What you've got to do is give Cooney the opportunity with and potentially Caelan Doris starting 8. So you would have a new 8, new 9, new 10. Makes absolutely no sense. You can have Doris at 8 and Sexton at 10 and have Cooney at 9 come in and actually let's see what he can do. Let's face it, he's going to be up against a French side where physically Dupont's not going to run over him. He's not going to be beaten by the opposition scrum half. They have big beasts in the French back row, so you're going to actually ask him to physically front up. Physically fronting up was not one of the issues that Sexton had against England, by the way. His defence was very good. So what we're saying here is fix the yips, the kicking yips that you've had. He's going to have another week to do it now because he's not going to be playing. There's going to be no game against France, against Italy, and make sure that you're passing and all the rest of that stuff. Your eye is back in, and let's see what impact having a different scrum half is going to have on him.
Yeah, I think he can change. I think Cooney can bring a bit of a spark to the team and a bit of unpredictability, I would say, and something different and you know, look, Ireland need to do something. You know, it's more than Conor Murray who's going to be under pressure for the French game at this stage.
For
So
sure.
I think we gotta freshen it up and take that chance, because you got to realise how strong England are. Like, they were in a World Cup. Look, they went over to France and they were completely hoodwinked going into that game. They were completely caught off the boil. The Scotland game was a joke. I watched it, it was a game in a hurricane where nobody could really play and show themselves. But England the last day, look, were just incredible. So they're World Cup finalists. So I think we have to realise where we are as well, and realise that was always going to be tough to go to Twickenham. We both picked England on shot clock last week, and I think this French game is one that we can really go after and try and just restore that bit of joy to the Irish rugby fan at the moment.
No terrible arguments in there, no negative points scored just yet. You're racing out in front at the time being, but we are going to turn our attention to Gaelic games. Galway with a humongous win at the weekend against Tyrone, despite the fact that Tyrone had 2 men sent off. Jerry, you might lead us off on this one. Legitimate All-Ireland contenders, Galway?
Yeah, 100%. We've seen Galway build a defensive structure under Kevin Welch over the last number of years, and they came in for massive criticism for the fact that they didn't have the attacking prowess to match it, and that they were keeping the shackles on some great attacking players. At the time, I didn't actually understand that their attacking players were so good. It did take Pádraig Joyce coming in and very simply identifying what is at the core of Galway football. This is something that we've talked about a lot on the show, and whether or not it actually exists. What is Corkness, for example? It turns out Galway football has a brand, and it goes all the way back to the team in the 50s and 60s, and the team that erupted in 98 played some of the best football you've ever seen, because they gave a bunch of youngsters, 5 under-21s in that team in 98, they gave them their head. Suddenly Jaff Allen became Jaff Allen, able to kick points from either touchline, and it's that level of confidence that the superstar in that midst, Pádraig Joyce, has brought to this team and has given Shane Walsh, who it turns out now is like nailed on as a contender for Footballer of the Year in February. Who knew that it was possible to do that? Not supposed to be able to do that, but look at the joy that he's bringing to that team and that county, and think about the rolling ball of confidence that all those forwards have in having the offensive mind of Pádraig Joyce right there. I'm not sure that they're going to put it up to Dublin in a big game this year, but certainly in the next 18 months, this is a team that's going to build and layer on the confidence that the attacking prowess that they've shown is coming off the back of all the good work that Kevin Walsh did by making them a super defensive team. So this is the same evolution that Donegal went through, although Donegal managed it in the space of 2 years, from where they frustrated everybody with that game famously against Dublin when they had 16 men behind the ball. And then the next season they had attacking fullbacks. This year we're seeing Galway eventually break out of the defensive structures that they had placed, but using them and being able to fall back on them when they need to. Absolutely All-Ireland contenders.
Yeah, I really think they are. I really think they're going to push it this year. I think the playing of Johnny Heaney at number 4 is huge for them. He scored 2 goals this year. He's bombing on from cornerback. He's bringing that, you just said there about the Donegal full back line driving forward in their evolution. That's happening now with Galway as well. Sean Mulcairn is a great fit at full back. Ronan Steed showed last week 3 massive points in the middle of the field. Paul Conroy coming back would be an unbelievable partner for him. The two of them have great footballing minds. You also have more the Corfin lads who are being shuffled back into the deck here. But I think the big thing is Comer out at centre forward too. Looking at the Tyrone game the last day, they kept everybody out wide. The 2 corner forwards and the 2 half forwards were practically on the touchline, and they wanted to create as much space down the middle for Comer and Shane Walsh. There's nobody, including Dublin or Kerry or anybody else, that's going to want to be one-on-one with Damien Comer and Shane Walsh on a pitch, especially not in Croke Park. And when this Galway team get to Croke Park, they're going to even be able to express themselves that bit more. They are legitimate contenders. Their form has proven they should have beaten Kerry and Killarney. Nobody's ever beaten Tyrone like that in the National League. Mickey Hart's worst defeat in his career. And look, they went up to Donegal against a really good Donegal team and really put it up to them and beat them as well, even though Michael Murphy did miss a free late on to win it. But they're also eking out these results. They have the pain of the 1 point loss to Kerry. They have the ecstasy of that massive 1 point away win above the confidence. They are going to roll through the summer and build up more momentum. But the test will be that when people come up with a plan and double team and triple team and surround Shane Walsh, what will be the answer for that? And I'm sure Pádraig Joyce and his management team will be working on it, but they are certainly contenders. They are class footballers all over the pitch, and I think, you know, you get the rest of the Corofin lads in, and they are really legitimate. I think they can, on a one-off game, I think they can beat. I think they can beat a Dublin in a one-off game if things go their way. Yeah,
absolutely. There's still no crappy arguments made so far.
Hey.
You're playing the game this week. Ger Gilroy basically copying and pasting one of my tweets into what he's actually saying. That is how you earn points on the shot clock. Very, very impressed this morning, lads. Final talking point in the debate section of the shot clock this morning. Dean Rock, he turns 30 today. He's coming into the autumn of his career, but he'll be around for a bit longer, I dare say. Is there a chance we've actually underappreciated Dean Rock all this time, Kieran? Like, I mean, obviously, as a free take, he's always front and centre. You're saying no?
No. Dean Rock is not underappreciated by anybody that knows football and anybody that can appreciate how important a person is to a team. Dean Rock is in this Dublin attack. Every time somebody fouls a Dublin player, Dean Rock steps up and bangs it over. He's won them all Irelands. He is improved in his general play as well for Dublin. Yeah, he's not, you know, taking guys on, but he's coming on the loop, he's kicking scores, and he's an absolute constant in the team. There's no way he's a constant like he is in that team just because he's able to take frees. They've got loads of forwards that can kick frees. They've got the Cormac Costellos, they've got Diarmuid Connolly's, they've got loads of guys that can.
I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in here while we fix the ISDN, the Skype, because hang on a second. Dean Rock has 2 All-Stars. He's never been in the conversation for Footballer of the Year, and by the time his career is over, he's going to be the highest scorer in Championship football. He's like on the verge of taking over Bernard Brogan. I think he's got another 34 points or something according to the Indo this morning to take over Jimmy Keaveney. This is a sensational career that Dean Rock is putting together as Dublin's all-time scorer. This is an absolutely amazing career, and we never talk about Dean Rock in the same breath as any of those amazing Dublin footballers that are always in the conversation for Footballer of the Year. Nobody compares him with Brian Fenton, nobody compares him with Jack McCaffrey, nobody compares him with Diarmuid Connolly, but what he has managed to do is bring an effortlessness and a calm and a coolness to the biggest moments in the biggest games, and we just expect that as a matter of course, he's going to ping it over from the left touchline. He's going to ping it over from 40 yards. When the pressure is absolutely on, I actually do think that we need to appreciate this a little bit more, because we say, it's only free taking. But free taking is boring hours of repetition in the hail and the rain and the wind and the darkness in the winter months to make sure that when it comes down to it in Croke Park, you've got somebody who can do it. And you think of the other counties who've had frees to win or to push games into extra time who haven't been able to do it in recent seasons when Dublin have been, and you think it's a matter of inches that separates. A scintilla was the phrase that Graham Hunter used earlier on. And that is greatness, but we don't appreciate it because it's only free taking. Maria.
Yeah, but like the question was, is he underappreciated? And the answer is that he's not. Like that's the simple answer for it. This guy is like, you know, yeah, he's not doing what Brian Fenton does in the middle of the field. Like Brian Fenton is bossing games from minute 1 to minute 70. He bosses the games. He doesn't have the brilliance of Diarmuid Connolly and the power and the fluidity when he's on the ball and when he's running. That's different. He doesn't have the speed of Jack McCaffrey as a half-back. We can't compare him to that. He's a free taker. He does his job.
I know we don't, and we don't value the free taking as much as we should do. I'm saying that, like, if Kildare had somebody like, if Kerry had somebody who was hitting the same level of...
I don't know who doesn't value the free taking, though. Tell me who doesn't value it.
If Mayo had somebody who'd kick frees the way Dean Rock did, they might have won all Ireland along the way.
Well, I'd argue against that as well. I think Cillian O'Connor is a pretty good free taker.
Just those 2 famous ones he missed.
Yeah, well, like that's, you can't, you know, it's hard to judge a guy on missing 2.
But Dean Rock doesn't miss them, is my point. Or almost never.
He missed one last year.
Almost never.
He missed one last year.
I don't know.
He doesn't miss too many. He doesn't miss too many.
No.
He doesn't miss. He's giving you a minus point because you said he never missed one when he missed one last year to win the first game.
I'm giving you a minus point, Kieran, because you said he can't do what Brian Fenton does in midfield, despite catching the best mark of the season last year in the middle of the park for Dublin.
I'm not on about catching marks. I'm on about Brian Fenton bossing games, is what I said. Running games.
I can just stay stum here and I'm going to win this whole thing.
It's a joke. I got a minus point for that.
Kieran, you finish up on, what are we looking at here?
Free throw.
5 points, and Jerry, you've actually crushed him this week, I think.
Woo!
Yeah, you've
2-all, baby.
I think 7-5 or 8-5, something like that today. It doesn't matter, Jerry. It is 2-all in the debate section. But on to the free throw this week, Kieran. It is on to the clutch dubs. Clutch City, Houston Rockets in the mid-90s is the comparison you want to make. I want to ask you, who's the Hakeem Olajuwon of this Dublin team?
Brian Fenton is the Hakeem Olajuwon of this Dublin team because he's the man in the middle and he is unflappable and nobody can touch him. Pretty much like the Hakeem, the Dream Olajuwon. Yeah, Clutch City, look, it was a phrase that was coined in 95 when these guys kept going, making the big plays. When Michael Jordan was playing his baseball, the Houston Rockets won 2 playoffs back-to-back, 2 national championships. They were slated for being chokers a bit before that, but they came good. Sort of like this Dublin team, you know, would have been viewed like that until they broke through in 2011. And ever since then, they are the Clutch City. They are the GA's Clutch City. How often do we watch them stare down the barrel of defeat and come out laughing in the face of it? You can go back to the semi-final against Mayo in 2015. Down 4 or 5 points with 12 minutes to go. They win by 7. They grinded out the final against Kerry the following 3 weeks later. 2016 against Semi, losing again late on to Kerry. They get back level. It's level in the 70th minute. They go on and win by 7. The 16 final, they're down by 4 with 13 minutes to go, and they win by 7 against Mayo. The 17 final, Mayo were free to win it. The one Jerry's just been talking about. They miss. Dublin come up and get a chance. They don't miss. They've got the 18 was easy. It was a piece of cake. But 2019 was their greatest clutch moment ever when they looked like they were beating all ends up. They were a point down. They were a man down. They're into the 72nd minute. Their 5-in-a-row dreams are going up in smoke, and they're able to claw it and tactically as well bring themselves back into it, and then have the courage and the balls to kick the winning score at the end. Look, even this year in the league, they were down 5 to Donegal and they came back and win by 1. They were down 6 to Monaghan and they come back and get a draw. They're down 3 to Kerry and they lead by 1 deep into stoppage time, and Kerry get a draw out of it. So these guys are doing it all the time. Does it help that a lot of these games are on in Croke Park and they've got the dubs in the hill sucking the ball? Absolutely. Anybody that says it doesn't have a clue about sport. Go and look at sport all around the world. Home advantage is important. It's crucial in big playoff games in America and American football and basketball. And of course it helps them. But it's not just that. They're tactically better. They are fitter than everybody else. They are stronger than everybody else. They are faster than everybody else. And they are smarter. And that counts as a lot when it comes late on in games. They love when the game is close now. Dublin actually worship when the game is close. They know they're going to, and they have an aura about them when this game is close that other teams don't. Other teams have this aura built up that they're going to come back. They're going to figure out a way. And you just know that the Dubs are going to make the right play at the right time. And that's why they're going to be very hard to stop again this year.
All right, all this Dublin loving is absolutely sickening this morning. Let's move on to the predictions. This morning we're going to turn our attention to some event that doesn't involve Dublin this weekend. We'll start with the Allianz Leagues. Mayo against Kerry. Kieran, who are you calling in this one?
Yeah, I'm taking Kerry this week. I'll take them by 3 or 4 above Castlebar. Even though Mayo will be coming will need a big result. I think Kerry are going to get it done. So
I actually think Kerry are going to get it done too, and I want to win this predictions thing. And I'm hoping that there's going to be a Mayo backlash after all the Tim O'Leary controversy during the week, and I'm hoping that they feel that they want to protect this incredible record they have in Division 1, and I'm hoping that they can somehow manage to squeak a win. I don't feel very confident about this one, but for the sake of trying to win this competition, I'm going for Mayo.
Good stuff. Galway against Cork, the fixture of the weekend in the hurling. Kieran, which way do you see this?
I'm going to go with Galway. I just think they need an answer. I think they've been waiting for the home game. I think the Tipperary game was called off with the Storms 2 weeks ago. They missed it. They went down to Waterford and lost a tough one by a point in tough conditions. Pearse Stadium is a very good pitch, and I think Galway will have to answer the home fans and get a win. So I'll take Galway in that.
I'm going to take Cork. I think Cork put in a good performance last week, and obviously they lost the game, so you don't get too much credit for that, but they actually did put up a good score in conditions again against a side who are, everybody says, is one of the best teams in the country and are playing unbelievably well at the minute. So I'm going to take that level of form and think that they're going to be able to come through against Galway.
And then Real Madrid against City. Jerry, you can lead us off on this one because you predicted Real Madrid to win the Champions League, so I presume you're being consistent.
I am. I really wish Eden Hazard was playing. He's not, so that definitely gives me pause for concern. So this is to go through. That's what our prediction is. Who's going to go through from this side, not who's going to win the game tonight. Yeah, so I'm going to predict that Real Madrid over the 2 legs are going to go through because I still think that they are one of those teams who are going to hit form and win this whole competition.
I'm actually going to go with City. I just think that they might, with how bad things have gone for them in the league, they're still a really good team with really good players, and if they can get it right, I'm going to give them a sneaky chance to just upset the odds in this one. So look, I'm taking a bit of a punt with the underdog.
They're not the underdog. They're the favourites. They're the favourites. You're on the
to go through.
Yeah, City are heavy favourites to go through. Yeah. Real Madrid. I don't understand Real Madrid being massive outsiders. So
we'll see in a month's time, lads. Good stuff this morning. That is it for this week's Shot Clock. They're all available on youtube.com/offtheball if you want to check out previous editions.